Jin-Ho Kim stared at his quantum mechanics notes without seeing them. His mind was elsewhere. Across the classroom sat Ara, the blue-skinned alien girl who had topped every class ranking since she transferred to Earth's Interstellar Academy 3 months ago. Even in this elite school that accepted the brightest minds from across the galaxy, she stood out. "You're staring again," whispered Tae-Wan, nudging Jin-Ho with his elbow. "Just talk to her already." Jin-Ho pushed his glasses up his nose. "She probably doesn't even know I exist." This wasn't exactly true. Last week, they had made eye contact when both reached for the same reference book in the library. She had smiled, and Jin-Ho had mumbled something before retreating to his usual corner. That night, he dreamed of her unusual eyes, deep purple, with small flecks of silver that seemed to contain entire galaxies. "Class dismissed," announced Professor Park. "Except for the quantum entanglement project teams. I need a quick word." Jin-Ho gathered his things slowly. He and Ara had been paired together for the semester project, but so far, all their communication had happened through shared digital notes. Today would be their first real conversation. As the classroom emptied, Jin-Ho approached Ara's desk. A small silver drone hovered near her shoulder, a cultural companion device common among alien students adjusting to Earth customs. "Hello," Jin-Ho said, his voice steadier than he expected. "I think we should discuss the approach for our project." Ara looked up, and Jin-Ho was struck again by her eyes. They held a wisdom that seemed impossible for someone their age. "Jin-Ho, Kim," she said, her voice musical with an accent he couldn't place. "Your notes on quantum superposition were quite unexpected. I've never seen that approach before." He blinked in surprise. "Was that a compliment or criticism?" "It's just something I've been working on. The standard models seemed too limiting." Ara's lips curved in a small smile. "I agree. The established theories don't account for multidimensional variance." Professor Park approached them. "Ah, my 2-star students. Have you settled on your research direction?" Jin-Ho and Ara looked at each other. In that brief exchange of glances, something clicked. Jin-Ho found himself speaking at the same moment Ara did. Harmonic resonance in cross-dimensional fields, vibrational patterns across quantum barriers. They stopped, staring at each other. Professor Park's eyebrows shot up. "Well," he said, "it sounds like you two are on the same wavelength, literally. I look forward to your proposal." After the professor left, Jin-Ho and Ara stood in awkward silence. The small drone near Ara made a soft beeping sound. "Would you like to discuss this further?" Ara asked. "The project, I mean." Jin-Ho nodded too quickly. "Yes, definitely. The campus library?" Ara glanced at her drone, which flashed a subtle green light. "Actually, I find the library too quiet sometimes. Do you know anywhere else?" Jin-Ho's heart beat faster. Was this really happening? "There's a coffee shop near the North Campus gate. They have good tea too, if you prefer." "I would like that," Ara said. Her silvery blue skin seemed to shimmer slightly under the classroom lights. Jin-Ho realized he was staring and quickly looked down at his tablet. "Is tomorrow afternoon okay? After xenobiology?" "Tomorrow is acceptable." She gathered her things with careful movements. "Until then, Jin-Ho Kim." The way she said his full name made it sound special somehow. Back in his dorm room, Jin-Ho couldn't focus on his other homework. He kept thinking about Ara and their upcoming meeting. "You actually asked her out?" Tae-Wan looked up from his communication studies assignment, amazed. "And she said yes?" "It's not a date," Jin-Ho corrected, pacing the small room. "It's a project meeting at a coffee shop." Tae-Wan grinned. "With the most mysterious girl in school who never socializes with anyone." Jin-Ho stopped pacing. "What do you mean, mysterious?" Tae-Wan shrugged. "Haven't you noticed? She's supposed to be a Lumen from the Cerulean sector, but something doesn't add up. The Lumens are known for being super social, but she keeps to herself. And that drone that follows her everywhere? Not standard issue. Maybe she's just shy," Jin-Ho said, though he had wondered about the drone too. It seemed more advanced than the usual companion devices. "Whatever, man. Just be careful. The pretty ones are always trouble, especially when they're from another solar system. The next day passed in a blur for Jin-ho. He barely heard his morning lectures, and he changed his shirt twice before heading to the coffee shop. As he approached the small Earth-style cafe, he spotted Ara already seated at an outside table, her silver drone hovering discreetly behind her. What Jin-ho didn't notice were the 4 other students seated at nearby tables, all watching Ara with subtle attentiveness. Nor did he see the tiny surveillance devices disguised as birds perched on the cafe's roof. "I hope I'm not late," Jin-ho said, sitting down across from her. Ara shook her head. "I arrived early. I wanted to try this coffee I've heard so much about." Jin-ho smiled. "What do you think?" "It's interesting. Strong, but not unpleasant." She took another sip. "In my home, we have a similar drink made from crystallized sunlight." "That sounds incredible," Jin-ho said, trying to imagine it. "Where exactly is home for you?" A flicker of something, caution, sadness, passed through Ara's eyes. "Very far away, a small system in the cerulean sector." Before Jin-ho could ask more, Ara opened her tablet. "I've been thinking about our project. Your approach to quantum superposition has fascinating implications." For the next hour, they dove deep into theoretical physics. Jin-ho found himself freely sharing ideas he'd never told anyone, and Ara built on them in ways that made unexpected connections. Their conversation flowed from scientific theory to philosophy and back. They drew diagrams on napkins and completed each other's equations. "This is incredible," Jin-ho said finally, looking at the mass of notes they'd created. "We've basically rewritten 3 fundamental laws of quantum mechanics." Ara's eyes shimmered with excitement. "Yes, and if we're right, it could change how interstellar travel works." Their eyes met across the table, and Jin-ho felt something shift between them, a connection deeper than just shared academic interests. Ara's drone suddenly emitted a soft alert tone. She glanced at it, her expression changing. "Is everything okay?" Jin-ho asked. "Yes," she said, though her posture had stiffened. "I just need to return to my residence soon." "Of course." Jin-ho began organizing their notes. I really enjoyed working with you." Ara's serious expression softened. "As did I, Jin-ho Kim. You think differently than anyone I've met. It's refreshing." Jin-ho gathered his courage. "Would you want to do this again?" "Not just for the project, but maybe just to talk more?" Ara hesitated, glancing at her drone. After a moment, it flashed a subtle green light. "Yes," she said with a smile that transformed her face. "I would like that very much." Neither of them noticed the encrypted signal that pulsed from Ara's drone, traveling faster than light to a distant part of the galaxy, where a regal woman on a crystal throne received the message with raised eyebrows. "So," the queen murmured. To her advisors, "My daughter has made a human friend." Across 12 star systems, preparations began. Over the next 2 weeks, Jin-ho and Ara met at the same coffee shop 6 times. Each meeting lasted longer than the one before it. Their project was now well ahead of schedule, but they found many other topics to discuss. "I still can't believe you've never watched old Earth movies," Jin-ho said as they sat at their usual table. It was a sunny afternoon and the coffee shop was busier than usual. Ara stirred her drink thoughtfully. "Entertainment on my home planet is different. We experience stories through shared thought bubbles." Jin-ho leaned forward, fascinated. "That sounds amazing. Much better than just watching a screen." "Different, not better," Ara said with a smile. "I'm finding I enjoy these Earth methods. There's something nice about experiencing stories side by side, rather than inside each other's minds." Jin-ho noticed that whenever Ara spoke about her home, she chose her words carefully. He had many questions but didn't want to push. Whatever her reasons for being private, he respected them. At a nearby table, a tall alien with gray skin pretended to read a book. This was Doyun, Ara's bodyguard, though Jin-ho thought he was just another academy student. Doyun watched as 3 new people entered the coffee shop. They didn't look like students. His eyes narrowed. You seem to like sweet things, Jinho said, nodding at Ara's drink, now topped with whipped cream and chocolate. That's your third different sweet coffee this week. Ara's eyes sparkled. We don't have chocolate where I come from. It's extraordinary. Ordinary things can seem special when you see them through someone else's eyes, Jinho said, then blushed at how that sounded. Ara tilted her head. That's quite profound, Jinho Kim. Just Jinho is fine. He smiled. Only my grandmother uses both names. Ara nodded seriously. In my culture, using someone's full name is a sign of respect, but I will call you Jinho if you prefer. Their conversation drifted to quantum physics again. Jinho drew a diagram on his tablet, explaining a theory he'd been working on for months. Ara watched, her eyes widening. This is brilliant, she said. Your approach could solve the Casper equation. Jinho shook his head. No one has solved that in 70 years. Because no one has thought to reverse the polarity matrix, Ara said, pointing at his diagram. See? If you continue this line of thinking. They bent their heads together over the tablet, lost in numbers and ideas, unaware of the tension building around them. The three newcomers had spread out across the coffee shop. One stood near the door, another sat at the counter. The third walked slowly toward the restrooms, passing close to Ara's table. Ara's drone suddenly emitted a high-pitched beep. She looked up, startled. Is something wrong with your drone? Jinho asked. Before Ara could answer, several things happened at once. The stranger walking past their table pulled out a small device. Ara's drone shot forward, creating a shimmering shield in front of her. Doyen leaped from his seat, moving with impossible speed. Get down, Ara shouted, grabbing Jinho's arm and pulling him under the table. A flash of blue light filled the shop. Customers screamed and ran for the exits. Jinho heard strange zapping sounds that reminded him of the physics lab. Stay here, Ara ordered. Her voice suddenly different, commanding, confident. But Jinho couldn't just hide. He peered out from under the table. The coffee shop had turned into a battlefield. Doyen and two other students Jinho recognized from campus were fighting the strangers. They moved with precision and skill that no ordinary students would have. Ara's drone had expanded somehow, creating a protective bubble around her. 1. Of the attackers aimed a weapon at the drone. Jinho saw it charging up, recognized the telltale signs of an energy buildup that would overload the shield. Without thinking, Jinho grabbed a metal carafe of water from a nearby table. He threw it at the attacker's weapon just as it fired. The water hit the energy beam, causing it to scatter and refract harmlessly into the ceiling. The attacker looked at Jinho in surprise. That moment of distraction was enough for Doyen to take him down. Within minutes, all three attackers were unconscious on the floor. The coffee shop was a mess of broken chairs and spilled drinks. Strangely, Jinho noticed that all the regular customers had escaped unhurt. Doyen spoke into a small device on his wrist. Area secured. Princess is safe. Jinho's mind spun. Princess Ara stepped out from behind her drone shield, which had now returned to its normal size. She looked at Jinho with a mixture of worry and something else. Respect? Are you hurt? She asked, coming to his side. Princess? Jinho repeated. You're a princess? Ara sighed. This is not how I wanted you to find out. More people entered. The coffee shop. Tall, uniformed figures with the same blue-silver skin as Ara. They wore what looked like advanced armor and carried weapons Jinho had never seen before. Your Highness, we need to move you to a secure location, said the leader. Ara straightened her shoulders, suddenly looking regal despite her academy uniform. Captain Han, this human is under my protection. He comes with us. The captain frowned, but nodded. As you wish, Princess. Jinho felt like he had stepped into one of those old movies he had mentioned earlier. Ara, what's happening? I will explain everything, she promised. But not here. Will you come with me? Jinho looked around at the damaged coffee shop, the unconscious attackers, and the royal guards now securing the building. His normal life had just shattered into pieces, but when he looked at Ara, Princess Ara, apparently. He still saw the brilliant, kind person he had spent hours talking with. Yes, he said. I'll come. 20 minutes later, Jinho found himself in a sleek transport vessel hidden beneath the Academy sports field. Ara sat beside him as the ship rose silently into the air. I'm not actually a lumen, she said quietly. That was my cover. Then who are you? Jinho asked. I am Princess Ara of the Stellar Dynasty, heir to the Galactic hegemony. She looked at him nervously, as if afraid of his reaction. My family rules 70% of known space. Jinho stared at her. That's a lot bigger than a small system in the cerulean sector. A small smile touched her lips. Yes. A slight understatement. Why are you at the Academy? Why pretend to be someone else? Ara looked out the window as Earth grew smaller below them. How can I rule the galaxy if I don't understand its people? My tutors taught me facts, not truth. She turned back to him. At the Academy, for the first time, people saw me as Ara, not as the princess. People like me, Jinho said, understanding dawning. Yes. Her eyes held his. People like you. A holographic screen appeared in the center of the ship. On it was the face of a regal woman with the same blue-silver skin as Ara, but with more pronounced markings along her temples. She wore an elaborate crown that seemed to float above her head. Mother, Ara said, sitting straighter. Daughter, the woman replied, her eyes moving to Jinho. And this must be the human who has captured your attention. Jinho suddenly realized he was face to face with the ruler of most of the known galaxy. He wasn't sure if he should bow or speak or stay silent. His name is Jinho Kim, Ara said proudly, and he just helped save my life. The Queen's eyes narrowed. Did he now? How interesting. She studied Jinho with new intensity. We have much to discuss when you arrive. The screen disappeared. Arrive where? Jinho asked, his voice faint. Ara pointed through the window. A massive ship had appeared in Earth's orbit, previously hidden by some kind of cloaking technology. It was the size of a small city. The royal flagship, Ara said. Welcome to my world, Jinho. Jinho pressed his face against the viewport as their ship approached the massive royal flagship. The vessel was unlike anything he had seen in books or movies about space. It didn't look like a ship at all, but rather like a floating crystal palace with spires and domes that glowed with soft blue light. It's beautiful, he whispered. It's home, Ara said simply. She watched him with curious eyes. You're not afraid? Jinho turned to look at her. Now that he knew the truth, he could see subtle changes in her posture and speech. She held herself like royalty, but her eyes were still the same, kind and full of wonder. I'm terrified, he admitted, but also amazed. A small smile touched her lips. Most aliens who learn about the hegemony's power feel only fear. I'm not afraid of your power, Jinho clarified. I'm afraid I'll say something stupid in front of your mother, the ruler of 70% of space. Ara laughed, the sound musical and bright. It made Jinho forget his worries for a moment. Their ship docked inside a vast hangar. When the doors opened, Jinho saw 2 lines of guards in gleaming silver armor. They stood perfectly still as Ara walked between them. Jinho followed, trying not to stare at everything around him. Captain Han and Doyun walked behind them. Jinho had learned that Doyun had been Ara's personal guard the entire time at the Academy, disguised as a student. Your mother awaits in the celestial chamber, a tall official told Ara with a deep bow. Ara nodded regally. Thank you, Advisor Junseo. This is Jinho Kim of Earth. He is my guest, and will be treated with full diplomatic honors. Junseo looked at Jinho with surprise but bowed again. As you command, Princess. They walked through corridors that seemed made of light and crystal. Everything hummed with energy that Jinho could feel but not see. Other aliens stopped and bowed as they passed. Most had the same blue-silver skin as Ara, but some were species Jinho had never seen before. Your home is incredible, Jinho said, quietly. This is just a ship, Ara replied. Our actual palace spans an entire moon. Jinho tried to imagine that and failed. They reached a massive door made of what looked like liquid silver. It parted silently as they approached. Inside was a large circular room with windows that showed the stars all around them. In the center was a crystal throne, and upon it sat Queen Minji. Jinho had expected someone who looked like an older version of Ara. But while the queen had the same blue-silver skin, her presence was entirely different. Where Ara radiated warm intelligence, Queen Minji projected cold power. Her eyes, silver with no purple flecks, seemed to pierce right through him. "Daughter," the queen said, her voice echoing slightly. "Welcome home." Ara approached the throne and bowed deeply. "Mother, may I present Jinho Kim of Earth, my friend and research partner." Jinho stepped forward and bowed as deeply as he could. "Your Majesty," he said, hoping that was the right form of address. The queen studied him silently. Jinho felt like a bug under a microscope. "So this is the human who has captured my daughter's attention," she finally said. "The one who helped during the attack. He used water to disrupt an energy weapon," Doyen reported from behind them. "A simple but effective solution that our security team had not considered." The queen raised an eyebrow. "Interesting and improbable. Why would a human student risk his life for an alien princess he did not even know existed?" Jinho swallowed hard. "I didn't know Ara was a princess. I just saw my friend in danger." "Friend," the queen repeated, as if tasting an unfamiliar word. "My daughter, the heir to the galactic hegemony, friends with a human boy from a barely spacefaring species." Ara stepped forward. "Mother, Jinho is brilliant. His understanding of quantum physics is remarkable, even by our standards, and he thinks in ways our scientists don't." A holographic display appeared beside the throne. It showed Jinho and Ara's work on their project. "Yes, I've seen your research," the queen said. "Impressive for a human." Jinho felt a flash of annoyance at her tone. A new person entered the chamber. A tall alien with deep blue skin and white markings on his face, "Your Majesty," he said with a bow. "We have identified the attackers. They belong to the Novan Rebellion." The queen's face hardened. "The rebels grow bold if they dare strike at my daughter." "Who are the Novan Rebellion?" Jinho whispered to Ara. "A group opposed to the hegemony's expansion," she whispered back. "They believe each species should develop independently without our influence. And specifically," the blue-skinned alien continued, "they oppose your plan to bring humans into the Hegemony Council." Jinho blinked in surprise. Humans in the council? He hadn't known such a thing was being considered. "Thank you, Spy Master Han," the queen said. "Continue your investigation." After Han left, the queen turned back to Jinho. "It seems you are already caught in our politics, human. The rebels attacked my daughter because of her interest in Earth." "Is that why you were at the academy?" Jinho asked Ara. "To evaluate humans for the council?" Ara looked uncomfortable. "Partly, but my interest was genuine. I wanted to learn about humans firsthand, not just from reports." "My daughter insisted," the queen said with a sigh. "She believes humans have potential." The way she said it made clear she disagreed. "We do," Jinho said firmly, surprising himself with his boldness. "Humans may be younger than your species, but we learn quickly. We solve problems in different ways." "Such as throwing water at energy weapons?" the queen asked, a hint of amusement in her voice. "Yes," Jinho nodded. "We use what we have. We adapt." The queen's silver eyes seemed to look through him. "Perhaps. But the galaxy is dangerous, as today's events proved. I cannot risk my daughter's safety for a research project, no matter how interesting." Ara stepped forward. "Mother, please." A loud alarm suddenly cut through the room. Red lights flashed along the walls. "Your Majesty!" Captain Han rushed into the room. "We're under attack. The Royal Security Network has been breached." The queen stood, her face tight with anger. "How is this possible? Our systems are impenetrable." A new type of virus, Captain Han explained quickly. It's shutting down our defenses sector by sector. As if to prove his point, the lights in the chamber flickered. The holographic displays vanished. The rebels must have planted it during the earlier attack, Doyen said grimly. We need to move you both to the secure bunker, Captain Han told the Queen and Ara. Quickly. Jin-Ho looked at the panic around him. Even these advanced aliens with him, all their technology were afraid. What kind of virus is it? He asked Captain Han. How does it work? It's attacking our quantum encryption, Han explained hurriedly. But human, this is not your concern. We need to evacuate now. Wait, Ara said, raising her hand. Everyone in the room stopped. She turned to Jin-Ho. You have an idea, don't you? I can see it in your eyes. Jin-Ho nodded slowly. Maybe. Your systems are too advanced for a simple attack. But sometimes the simplest solutions work best. The Queen looked from her daughter to Jin-Ho. For the first time, her expression showed something other than cool superiority. There was a glimmer of hope. Speak, human, she commanded. Quickly. Jin-Ho took a deep breath. I'll need to see your computer core, and I'll need Earth technology, the most basic kind you have on board. The Queen hesitated only a moment. Show him, she ordered Captain Han. As they hurried from the chamber, Ara fell into step beside Jin-Ho. Can you really help? She asked quietly. Jin-Ho gave her a nervous smile. I don't know, but humans are good at thinking outside the box. And right now we need to think way outside the galactic box. Behind them, the lights continued to flicker as the flagship systems failed one by one. Captain Han led Jin-Ho and Ara through corridors that grew darker with each passing minute. Emergency lights cast an eerie blue glow along the walls. Crew members rushed past them, their faces tight with worry. The computer core is just ahead, Captain Han said, pointing to a set of massive doors at the end of the hallway. When they reached the doors, Han pressed his hand against a glowing panel. Nothing happened. The security systems are down, he muttered. We'll have to open it manually. It took 3 crew members to push the heavy doors open. Inside was a vast chamber filled with what looked like floating crystals arranged in complex patterns. At the center was a column of swirling blue light that pulsed rhythmically. Our main quantum processor, Ara explained to Jin-Ho. It runs all systems on the flagship. Jin-Ho stared in awe. It's beautiful. A team of aliens with light blue skin worked frantically at control panels around the room. One of them approached, bowing quickly to Ara. Princess, the virus is unlike anything we've seen, she reported. It's adapting to every countermeasure we try. This is Chief Engineer Yoon, Ara told Jin-Ho. She's the best tech expert in the hegemony. Yoon looked at Jin-Ho with doubt. The human wishes to help? Jin-Ho tried to appear more confident than he felt. I need to understand how the virus works first. Yoon led them to a display that showed lines of code Jin-Ho couldn't read. It's targeting our quantum encryption protocols. Each time we block it, it finds a new pathway. Jin-Ho frowned in thought. It's learning from your defenses. What about separate systems? Do you have any technology that isn't connected to the main network? Of course not, Yoon said, looking offended. All hegemony systems are fully integrated, for maximum efficiency. That's your problem, Jin-Ho said. On Earth, we learned the hard way that connecting everything creates a single point of failure. Ara nodded slowly. He's right. The virus is using our own connectivity against us. You mentioned having Earth technology on board? Jin-Ho asked Captain Han. Yes, in our alien artifacts collection, we have samples from all developing worlds. I need the oldest, simplest computer you have, Jin-Ho said. Something that doesn't use quantum technology at all. Captain Han looked skeptical but sent a crew member to retrieve what Jin-Ho asked for. Meanwhile, the situation grew worse. The lights flickered, and gravity wavered for a moment, making everyone float slightly before dropping back down. Life support systems are failing, Yoon reported grimly. We have less than 30 minutes before critical failure. Queen Minji entered, The chamber, surrounded by guards. Her face was calm, but Jinho could see the tension in her eyes. What progress? She demanded. The human has an idea, Ara told her mother, but it requires primitive technology. The queen's silver eyes turned to Jinho. My daughter's life and the future of the hegemony may rest on your primitive ideas, human. I hope they are worth it. Jinho swallowed hard. No pressure at all. The crew member returned carrying what looked like an old laptop computer. Jinho recognized it as a model that was outdated even on Earth. Perfect, he said, taking it. Now I need a way to connect this to your systems. Yoon shook her head. Impossible. The interfaces are not compatible. Jinho thought for a moment, then turned to Ara. Remember our quantum entanglement project? The harmonic resonance theory we were working on? Ara's eyes widened with understanding. You want to create a bridge between technologies using resonant frequencies? Exactly, Jinho said. We don't need to directly connect them. We just need them to talk to each other. For the next 15 minutes, Jinho and Ara worked together. Yoon and her team watched in confusion as Jinho typed on the ancient Earth laptop while Ara adjusted the quantum systems. What exactly are you doing? The Queen asked, watching over their shoulders. The virus attacks anything that uses your quantum encryption, Jinho explained as he worked. But this old computer uses something completely different. Simple binary code that's too primitive for the virus to understand. Like speaking a language so old that modern people have forgotten it, Ara added. Jinho nodded. We're creating a basic firewall program on this laptop, then using quantum resonance to project it into your systems. Like using a simple wooden shield against energy weapons, Captain Han said, beginning to understand. Yes. Jinho smiled at the captain. Sometimes old technology works against new threats precisely because it's so different. The ship shuddered violently. Several crystal panels went dark. Main thrusters offline, Yoon reported. 10 minutes to life support failure. Jinho typed faster. On the screen of the old laptop, a simple program took shape. It wasn't elegant, but it didn't need to be. It just needed to work. Ready, he said finally. Ara, the resonance field? Ara's fingers flew over the alien control panel. Field established. Ready on your command. Jinho hesitated, suddenly aware that everyone in the room was watching him, waiting for this human to either save or doom them. Do it, he said quietly. Ara pressed a crystal button. The laptop hummed loudly, its fan whirring at maximum speed. The screen flickered, then went blue. For a long, terrible moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the crystal panels around the room began to glow again. The central column of blue light stabilized. It's working, Yoon exclaimed. The virus is being contained. On the laptop screen, a simple progress bar moved slowly across the screen. 25%, 50%, 75%. The firewall is isolating the virus, Jinho explained. Once it's contained, your systems can delete it safely. The Queen watched with undisguised amazement. A primitive Earth computer is saving my flagship. Not just the computer, Ara said proudly. Jinho's insight, his different way of thinking, 100%. The laptop beeped cheerfully. Throughout the ship, lights came back on. The gentle hum of systems returning to normal filled the air. The crew members cheered and hugged each other. Yoon studied the displays with astonishment. All systems returning to normal. The virus has been completely neutralized. She turned to Jinho and bowed deeply. Thank you. Captain Han was already working at another panel. Your Majesty, we've traced the origin of the attack. It came from a small fleet hiding in the asteroid belt. General Suk's ships. The Queen's face hardened. So, the leader of the anti-human faction is behind this. Prepare our weapons. Wait, Jinho said, then quickly added, Your Majesty, I think I can help. With that too, everyone stared at him. How? The Queen asked. Jinho smiled. The virus is contained but not destroyed. We could send it back to its source using the same pathway it used to attack us. A slow smile spread across the Queen's face. You suggest we turn their weapon against them? Jinho nodded. It would disable their ships without harming anyone. You could capture them instead of destroying them. The Queen studied Jinho for a long moment. Then she turned to Captain Han. Make it so. As the captain hurried to carry out the orders, the Queen approached Jinho. For the first time, she looked at him as if truly seeing him. Perhaps, she said thoughtfully, there is more to humans than I realized. Ara beamed at Jinho with pride. I told you, Mother. Different perspectives make us stronger, not weaker. The Queen inclined her head slightly. It seems I have much to reconsider about Earth and its place in the galaxy. She turned to leave, then paused. Jinho Kim of Earth, when this crisis is fully resolved, I would speak with you further about your species. After she left, Jinho let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Did the Queen of the Galaxy just invite me to a private conversation? Ara laughed and took his hand. She did, and believe me, that is a very rare honor. Jinho looked around at the alien technology surrounding them, then down at the outdated Earth laptop that had saved the day. All because I asked a girl out for coffee, he said with wonder. Ara squeezed his hand. The galaxy works in mysterious ways, Jinho Kim. 3 days after the virus attack, Jinho stood before the Galactic Council. The chamber was enormous, with seats for representatives from hundreds of worlds. Today, all eyes were on the human who had saved the royal flagship. Jinho wore formal, clothes provided by the royal staff, a blue-silver tunic that matched Ara's skin tone. He tried not to fidget as Queen Minji addressed the council. Esteemed representatives, the Queen began, her voice carrying effortlessly through the chamber. You have heard of the attack on the royal flagship. What you have not heard is how it was defeated. She gestured toward Jinho. This human, using technology his world considers outdated, saved our most advanced systems from destruction. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Jinho could feel countless alien eyes studying him with curiosity, doubt, and surprise. A tall, red-skinned alien stood. Your Majesty, while we appreciate the human's help, surely this was a single fortunate incident. It does not justify accelerating Earth's membership in the hegemony. Ambassador Kuzan, the Queen acknowledged. Your concerns are noted. That is why I have invited Jinho Kim to address the council directly. Jinho's heart raced. Ara, seated beside her mother, gave him an encouraging nod. Walking to the center of the chamber, Jinho cleared his throat. Respected members of the council, I am not a diplomat or a politician. I'm just a student who likes physics and asked a girl to have coffee with me. A few chuckles rippled through the audience. Jinho relaxed slightly. I didn't know she was a princess. I just knew she was brilliant and saw the universe differently than I did. Working together, we solved problems neither of us could solve alone. Jinho looked around at the diverse aliens watching him. That's what humans can bring to the hegemony. Not advanced technology or massive fleets. We bring a different perspective. He pointed to the display behind him, showing the simple firewall program he had created. Our technology may seem primitive to you, but sometimes the simple solution is what you need. Humans are good at finding those simple solutions because we had to be. We've faced challenges with limited resources, so we learned to be creative. Ambassador. Kuzan frowned. Pretty words, but the Novan Rebellion would use Earth as a foothold to spread their anti-hegemony ideas. Jinho nodded. Yes, General Suk tried to use Earth as a weapon against you, but that shows how important Earth could be as an ally instead. Another alien, with green scales and 4 arms, stood. The human makes a valid point. Different thinking is valuable. My people joined the hegemony precisely because we offered skills others lacked. Queen Minji raised her hand for silence. There is another matter to consider. My daughter, Princess Ara, has spent months studying at Earth's Interstellar Academy. I ask that she share her findings. Ara rose gracefully and moved to stand beside Jinho. Her presence calmed his nerves. Honored Council, she began. I went to Earth expecting to find a developing world with limited potential. What I discovered was a species with remarkable adaptability and creative thinking. She activated a holographic display showing her and Jinho's quantum entanglement research. This work, which many of you have already reviewed, represents a breakthrough in quantum theory. And it came not from our advanced laboratories but from conversations over coffee between two different minds. The council members leaned forward studying the equations with interest. The attack on the flagship proved something important. Ara continued, "Our greatest strength is not our technology, but our diversity of thought. For too long, the hegemony has valued only one kind of advancement, our kind. This has made us vulnerable." Jinho watched with admiration as Ara addressed the council with confidence and wisdom beyond her years. He could see why she would one day rule the galaxy. A blue-skinned alien near the front spoke up. "Princess, while your points are well made, bringing Earth into the council now would be unprecedented. Their technology is centuries behind ours." "And yet," Jinho said before he could stop himself, "that behind technology saved your most advanced ship." The chamber fell silent at his boldness. Then, unexpectedly, Queen Minji laughed. The sound rang through the chamber like crystal bells. "The human speaks truth," she said, smiling slightly. "Perhaps our definition of advanced needs reconsidering." She stood, commanding instant attention. "I propose a new position. Earth will be granted observer status on the Council with a path to full membership within 5 years, instead of the usual 50. Ara beamed at Jinho. This was an enormous concession from her mother. "Additionally," the Queen continued, "I am establishing a new department of innovation focused on combining different species approaches to problem solving. Jinho Kim will lead this department alongside my daughter." Jinho's mouth fell open in shock. The Queen caught his eye and gave him the smallest of nods. The council erupted in discussion. After several minutes of debate, Ambassador Kuzan rose, again. "Your Majesty, the Council accepts your proposal. Earth will be granted observer status and we approve the new Department of Innovation." As the council session ended, Jinho felt dazed. Ara took his hand and led him out of the chamber. "Did that really just happen?" he asked. "Did your mother just give me a job in the Galactic government?" Ara smiled. "She did. And trust me, she doesn't make such decisions lightly." They walked through the ship until they reached a small observation deck. Earth was visible through the window, a beautiful blue marble in the distance. "I have a confession to make," Ara said suddenly, turning to face Jinho. "Another one?" Jinho joked. "Are you secretly the ruler of 2 galaxies instead of 1? She laughed. "No, but I wasn't entirely honest about how we met." Jinho tilted his head curiously. "I chose the academy specifically because you were there," Ara said. "I had read your research papers. Your approach to quantum theory was unlike anything I'd seen." Jinho blinked in surprise. "You went to Earth? For me?" Ara nodded. "The royal advisor selected 20 potential humans for me to evaluate. Your file stood out. Your theories were brilliant, but more importantly, you thought differently than anyone in the hegemony. So when I asked you for coffee, I was hoping you would," she finished, "though I needed my security team's approval first." Jinho shook, his head laughing softly. "All this time I thought I was the one who noticed you first." "You were still brave to ask," Ara said, stepping closer, "even thinking I was just a fellow student." Jinho looked out at Earth, then around at the magnificent alien ship. His life had changed completely in just a few days. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now," Ara said, "we build bridges between worlds. We learn from each other's differences instead of fearing them." She paused, taking his hand again. "And perhaps we continue our research over coffee?" Jinho smiled. "I'd like that. Though I think your royal coffee is probably better than what we had at the campus cafe." "Actually," Ara said with a mischievous smile, "I've developed quite a taste for Earth coffee. It's one of many things from your world that I've grown fond of." Outside the window, a small transport ship departed for Earth, carrying news of its new status in the galaxy. Earth will never be the same, Jinho said quietly. Neither will the hegemony, Ara replied. Change is coming to the galaxy, Jinho, and it started with a simple invitation for coffee. Jinho looked at the princess beside him, brilliant, kind, and far more complex than he had first realized. Then he looked out at the stars spreading infinitely before them. Best coffee date ever, he said. Ara laughed, the sound like music among the stars. Indeed it was, Jinho Kim. Indeed it was.